Tyler Jones here with you for the second time today on Seahawks Today as we provide you the latest updates on the Seattle Seahawks coaching search. We'll tell you everything you need to know coming up in just a matter of moments. Before we do, folks, I need you to follow me on the gram, IG at Tyler Jones Live, for continuing Seahawks coverage as I post updates on your favorite team there. Also, not just Seahawks updates, but other things going on in the NFL and in college football. I get to go to the Cotton Bowl tomorrow, cover that for Chat Sports. I'll have some updates on that, college football playoff semifinal. And here's what I'll do, folks. Just a couple days ago, I did my end-of-the-year recap video of 2024. For the first 10 people that like that video, I am going to follow you back on IG. So everybody head over there, go like that, and follow me. And the first 10 people that like it and follow me, I will follow you back at Tyler Jones Live. Hit me up there, and we'll get started with today's show. Let's get to the updates on the offensive coordinator search after Ryan Grubb was dismissed earlier this week. We now have official candidates that will be interviewing for this job. Let's start with this from Tom Pelissero, the NFL Network, saying this morning, the Seahawks are scheduled to interview Lions offensive line coach Hank Fraley for their OC job on Friday, per source. An 11-year veteran offensive lineman as a player, Fraley has been instrumental in Detroit's run game, an area in which Seattle wants to improve in 2025. Albert Breer also with this report on the news, saying the Seahawks are interviewing Lions offensive line coach Hank Fraley tomorrow for their offensive coordinator job, per sources. Fraley has done groundwork, too, in trying to find a pass game coordinator he'd pair with. So that's interesting. That's really good for Hank Fraley that he's already putting in the work that he needs to potentially get an offensive coordinator position, potentially with Seattle here. I love the idea of bringing in an O-line coach to lead this offense, because we all know the biggest issue plaguing this Seahawks team, not just on offense, but just overall, is the offensive line. And this Seahawks team needs a new voice, a fresh face to come in and get these players' attention. Because as much as we've talked about that the Seahawks are not spending the money they should in the offensive line and that they've really messed up on some of the players they've drafted for these positions, I think a lot of it has to do with coaching, too, that these guys aren't being developed properly as well. And so if you get a guy that is an offensive line coach to be your OC, then you're going to get one of the best, one of the best offensive line coaches in football that should help develop those guys into reaching their full potential at that position. That's not the only OC interview that Seattle will conduct. Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network also adding this: the Seahawks also plan to interview Bears interim coach Thomas Brown for their offensive coordinator job, per source. So there you have it from Tom Pelissero there, giving the update on that front. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking right away, that Thomas Brown, the interim head coach of the Chicago Bears, was on the sidelines for the infamous Seahawks-Bears Thursday night 6-3 win a few weeks ago. And for as bad as that looked for Ryan Grubb, it may have been the nail in the coffin for his job, essentially, with only scoring 6 points in that game. There was another team that did look even worse. That was the Chicago Bears, who only scored 3 points, and Thomas Brown, of course, overseeing things there with the Chicago Bears. But where I would give him the benefit of the doubt, remember our old friend Shane Waldron, who went to Chicago to be the offensive coordinator, got fired midseason and all that? Well, Thomas Brown was stuck running Shane Waldron's offense. So as bad as Chicago looked that day, even worse than Seattle did, for that matter, I don't necessarily blame him too much. I won't hold it against him because he wasn't even running his system. He was forced to deal with what was in place from Shane Waldron and was dealt with a tough hand there. So what I would tell you is, yes, he did manage that game, but he wasn't put in the best of circumstances. So we won't hold it against him too much as far as that goes. Who should be the next offensive coordinator for your Seattle Seahawks? Give me a name that comes to mind, whether it's one of these two or it's somebody else. Way in the comments section. Let us know what you think. Today's show is sponsored by our friends at Fume. Let me tell you about Fume, folks. Have you heard that the flavored air category is quickly becoming the leading alternative to vaping and smoking? It's a whole new movement towards better habits, led by the sponsor of today's video, Fume. Fume is an award-winning flavor air device that draws flavor to your mouth, not your lungs. It's a great way to satisfy your oral fixation with non-toxic flavors free from nicotine or vapor, and it's safe to use anywhere. Fume's design is also about more than just flavor. It's an awesome fidget tool with magnets and clicks that can help calm anxiety. You'll love how Fume fuels. Premium quality, sleek design, and perfect for taking with you on the go. If you're used to vapor, Fume may not be as strong as you'd expect at first, but we also won't leave you in a hospital bed. Fume can be compared to an herbal tea if vapor was compared to a sticky soda. Not as sweet and a lot more natural. Fume has already helped over 300,000 people build better habits. Try Fume today, and if you order the Journey Pack now using my code ChatSports, you'll get a free Fume topper, an awesome accessory to level up your experience. Go to tryfume.com/ChatSports or scan the QR code on the screen. Fume, proud partner of Seattle Seahawks today. Glad to have him on board here on today's show. All right, let's tell you about these two candidates now, starting with Hank Fraley, Lions offensive line coach since 2020. He's been a big part of that turnaround that we've seen with the Lions under Dan Campbell, winning at the line of scrimmage, 10 years as an NFL assistant head coach. And you heard from Tom Pelissero earlier, 11 years in the league, 10 official seasons as an offensive lineman in the NFL. So simply put, he's been there, done that before. I mean, just look at the guy. I mean, he looks like just a hog molly, right? I mean, you talk about somebody that is going to bring in some physicality to the Seahawks team and make a statement. Hank Fraley certainly looks the part of that guy that Seattle could be looking for. And I'll say this, just reading up on him of what people have said around the National Football League, he has got a great reputation. He is well respected in NFL circles. But there is one big question mark when it comes to Hank Fraley compared to some other candidates out there. He's never called plays. Now, when you look at offensive coordinators across the NFL, everybody at some point has not called plays. Eventually, you do have to make that jump. So, something to think about. Yes, he's never called plays, but he's never been given the opportunity to as well. Maybe this is the potential opportunity he's looking for. And here's something to ponder as well. If you bring Fraley in, that could also mean the additions of Hendon Hooker at the quarterback position, the current backup quarterback of Jared Goff there in Detroit. He was a very good college quarterback with the Tennessee Volunteers just a couple of years ago. Offensive guard Kevin Zeitler and offensive tackle Dan Skipper also could be potential options as well. And both those guys are really good offensive linemen and could help out this Seattle team. So if you bring in Fraley here, then you might be getting more than just Fraley. You might be getting a couple of other options that could be a good fit potentially. So something to keep in mind on that front there as far as that goes if the Seahawks were to bring in Fraley as far as that goes. We are going to tell you about Thomas Brown more in just a moment, but first, want to make sure you guys subscribe to Seattle Seahawks today as we are all over this offensive coordinator search. We're bringing you live shows every week. We're also still doing watch parties. We're going to be live for the Rams-Vikings game on Monday night. We're going to cheer against the Rams together here on the channel, folks, so don't miss out on that. We will also bring you all of our draft coverage. I got some mock drafts coming in the next couple of days. We've already talked draft targets. All of the Seahawks content your heart could ever want or desire is right here on Seahawks Today. Subscribe now for free. It's 100% free, folks. YouTube.com/SeahawksTV. Subscribe now. You'll be glad you did. Let's tell you about Thomas Brown, the Bears interim head coach. What a year it's been for Thomas Brown. Began this season as the Bears passing game coordinator. Shane Waldron gets fired. He gets promoted to OC. And then, of course, Matt Eberflus got fired, and he got promoted to interim head coach. So it was a wild year for Thomas Brown. But he's been an experienced play caller. He was the OC with the Carolina Panthers in 2023. He was on the Rams coaching staff as their running backs coach the year the Rams won the Super Bowl back in 2020, and that's his background as a running backs coach. And if you're looking for somebody that wants an emphasis in the run game and running the football, Thomas Brown could be your guy. And if you want to point to something of success for Thomas Brown in the Chicago Bears offense, of how things changed from how bad they were under Shane Waldron, look at what the offense did for Chicago in some very close games against some playoff caliber football teams in their division. The Green Bay Packers, the Minnesota Vikings, and the Detroit Lions. In those three games, with Thomas Brown calling the shots for Chicago, they averaged 22 points per game. And to kind of put that in perspective for you folks, that's 4 points higher than their season average they had. So Thomas Brown elevated the play of this offense when he took over, and he was also held back by having to run Shane Waldron's offense. He's also largely credited with the turnaround to Caleb Williams this season as well, as Caleb Williams had a bit of a shaky rookie season, but started to play better once Thomas Brown was calling the shots there for Chicago. And all of this is about relationships, right? They say it's not what you know, it's who you know. Well, Mike McDonald and Thomas Brown actually have history with each other. They've worked together many, many years ago. Check this out, this tweet that came out today from Brady Henderson, kind of detailing where these two go back. Brady read in the following: Brown and Mike McDonald were on the same Georgia staff in 2011. I was still in high school in 2011. So these two go way back, folks, early in each of their coaching careers. So there is a trust factor there, and a lot of it has to do with who you can trust as far as that goes. Remember, Mike McDonald and Ryan Grubb had no prior connection together, so this might be going more to what you know and someone you're comfortable with potentially if you bring in Thomas Brown. If you had to pick one to hire between these two, would you rather go with Hank Fraley or would you rather go with Thomas Brown? Type HF for Hank Fraley. Type TB for Thomas Brown. Weigh in the comments section and let us know which one you would hire between these two. Weigh in and let us know. Appreciate you joining us here on Seattle Seahawks Today. You can follow me on X as well as IG at Tyler Jones Live. You can find me there on those social media platforms. Before we go, we want to give a quick thank you to Fume for sponsoring today's show. Scan the QR code and use code ChatSports to get your free Fume topper when you order your Journey Pack today.